All right. Welcome back. I was going to work some more on this Factorio stuff, and we had lots of folks around who were interested, so I figured I'd pop the stream on in case anyone wants to watch along or catch the VOD after the fact. I don't have the camera set up for me, so you'll just see the screen, and if we get into using the physical button, I have sort of this camera set up, but we'll see how far we get into that. Archon. Get a note to look into this. Okay, well, there's really not that much there, huh? Just print. Okay, fair enough. Is the name of the object available? Object name? Interesting. What that means. Anyway, I am basically picking up where we left off yesterday on the stream, so if you are new and want the precursor to this, you can check out yesterday's stream on my YouTube or Twitch. I think they get archived on Twitch for a little while, and then they should stay on YouTube for essentially ever, or until I get tired of it and decide to take them down, or until YouTube decides to take them down. And what we are working on, broadly speaking, high level, is integrating CircuitPython with Factorio. Factorio, the video game, and then CircuitPython is a type of programming language that you can use on microcontrollers. So this is kind of trying to make a bridge between Factorio and real-world electronics. If you happen to be watching and didn't catch the previous streams, but are hearing me now and want a more thorough explanation, feel free to say hi in one of the chats and let me know that you don't know what I'm talking about, and I'd be happy to explain a bit further. I can see the chats. I don't have them on the screen like I normally do. We're just doing screen share only instead of the whole stream setup thing today, so no camera, no chats visible, but I can see them on my side, so if you want to say hi or ask questions in the chat, you can do that on Twitch or YouTube, or I also have the Discord, Adafruit Live broadcast Discord, where I can see it as well, which is where we usually hang out while we're streaming. I'm jumping in. First thing I want to do actually is refactor this code, which we started yesterday, which is running on the PC. This code is connecting to the serial port where the CircuitPython device is at. It was reading messages that came from the CircuitPython device, and then it was turning around and sending commands through Archon to the Factorio server. And the very first thing I want to get into today is actually, I was thinking about it a bit more this morning and last night, and I feel that this component should be dumber. This component should not know about combinators. This component should not know about values, about signals, about any of that. I think I would like to refactor this whole component to essentially just be a bridge, a proxy server, so to speak, that sits between the serial connection and the Archon connection. It will just read a string from serial, and it will forward that same string to Archon. It will read the result from Archon, and it will send that result back to serial. So it won't know really what it's sending. It won't know about signals or values or anything else anymore. It will be purely a transport sort of converter between serial and Archon, which will make it much simpler and will make it so that we can put all of the logic for the signals and everything over on the microcontroller, which I think makes sense to have them, because a lot of it needs to exist on the microcontroller just because of its own inputs and buttons and everything, and having it split felt kind of weird, I thought, and so I think this will be good. And it opens the door to eventually, like Archon is just some kind of web-based connection. I don't know the nitty-gritty of it, but I suspect it's probably not all that complex. Maybe there's a world where the PicoW can connect directly over the network to the Archon server running inside Factorio. That would be pretty cool, and that would cut out the serial all the way. And if we rewrite this layer to just be a text transport, essentially, then the code on the microcontroller will be ready to just drop in the replacement. Essentially, it will just function the same way. We can just send our message to Archon instead of serial. What is up, Abados? Yep, nope, not Friday or Saturday. We are here impromptu on a Sunday, just because I figured folks were interested in Factorio, and I was gonna work on it a bit more. So I figured I'd throw the stream on. Okay, so this actually is going to get a lot simpler. All we are going to do is... Actually, right now, it's not even doing anything. Well, we're doing a test command. So really what we're going to do is this. While true, read from serial. We're not going to be getting JSON. I mean, there might be JSON involved with what we're getting, but we're not so much concerned about that. And instead, we're not worried about command types. We're not going to do any of this stuff here. Instead, we're just going to forward everything we got right along to Archon. So we're going to expect that the microcontroller is going to be sending valid Lua, valid Archon commands, and we'll be moving the templating of these things and everything over into the microcontroller. So really all we need to do is just read from serial. Once we do that, we send it to Archon. So we're going to go in like this. I'll change this to incoming command, because I guess we know it's like assumed to be a command, a valid Factorio command that can run over Archon. We get the response, and then we can just send the response back that way. I don't know for sure if it will have new lines. We'll have to see if that gets wonky. Yeah, we'll have to see if that gets wonky. Let's try this, though. So let's run this. Nope, connection refused. Okay, so I don't have the server running. I'll have to swap the mods around a little bit, also, because I was playing my actual game recently, this morning. So the way to do mod development, they say, when you're first working on it, is to disable all the 2.0 stuff. Although the actual Lua code in there was updated for 2.0, so there are some fixes. There are bits that should work with 2.0 already. They just had to turn it off so that you don't have to worry about it. We're going to do that. We are going to go to multiplayer. We're going to go to post a saved game, MCU sandbox. I assume this will just use everything I had before, hopefully. Okay, let's try to run this again. Okay, there we go. So now we're connected to Archon. We are presumably inside this loop here, just trying to read from serial, and whenever we get something, we will forward it along. So let's see if that's actually working by sending something from the microcontroller. So here, let's just say we have most of the microcontroller stuff turned off right now. Really, the only thing that actually sends right now is this. But I'm actually going to turn that off as well. And instead, right now, I think I'm just going to circumvent all of the stuff reading the pins and everything, and instead just send a message. And the message we're going to send is I would like to run that custom command that we worked on yesterday. So for us, that means usb-cdc.write. When I say for us, I mean for us here in the microcontroller script. The bytes that we are going to write are slash... let's see, what was that command? Update. I'm probably going to change the name of it, honestly. In control? Yeah. Update write combinators. Yeah, I'm probably going to change that. I think that should be I think this should be called get write combinators. Or get write combinator values, which is wordier. But anyway, we won't worry about changing it just now. We do probably need the new line, I would imagine. I think we were putting new lines before, right? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, let's run that. And after running it, we should be able to get a response back. Except this is probably... Oh, data. Whoops, data.write. This is probably not... Probably just going to read... We do have a read line. We could try that. Does it send one line? I think it does. It dumps the JSON. Let's see. Print response. All right, let's see what we get. Oh, I heard... okay, I heard this thing crash, it turns out. Attempt to index local network and nil value. All right, let's read a little bit in a few of these places and see if we can tell what happened. One thing we should do is print inside of here. This doesn't print anything. We should say print inc command. Should probably also just go ahead and print the response here as well. Okay, but it looks like we called the function. Attempt to index local network, a nil value. 26 in function. So it seems like it called the function. And pairs network signals. I wonder, so it's basically saying, it seems to me like it's saying network is nil. Confirm just confirm. I wonder if that's because this is not connected. I have 3 of these here, and I have 2 that are connected and 1 that is not. I'm going to break this one and Ooh. Here we have empty response. Archon exceptions empty response, so I guess we need to catch that probably. This comes from client.run. Maybe we should do this whole thing. Archon.exceptions.empty response. Let's pass on that. Well, yeah, lots of the commands don't do anything. This one should, although it could still be empty if there's no signals, but maybe it would be empty JSON object, though. I'm not sure. All right, let's save that. Let's rerun this. And let's rerun the microcontroller one. All right, it doodalooed again, and it didn't crash. It printed something about return value. Let's start state. We didn't ever print response, though. Never print response, though. That's not good. Let's look in here. Okay. Unicode strings are not supported. Please encode to bytes. Oh, well, for one thing, response. Okay, so we decode, yeah, we should just not do this, I guess. We read it from serial, it came in as bytes. I was converting it to a string and then trying to send the string to the client, but we actually need to send bytes to that as well. We should just keep bytes and send that everywhere. This was not an F string, that's why that didn't print. All right, so let's rerun this, and let's rerun this again. Okay, I did not hear any doodaloos that time. We don't see any response that got printed, so it's still not ideal, but... Okay, we have an incoming command. Descriptor encode for string does not apply to bytes. What a bytes. Does that want a string? That wants a string. Okay, so we need to... Wait, but it was mad when it was a string. Just had it as a string, right? Okay. We need to put the... So when we get the response from Archon, it's going to be a string also. And we need it to be bytes before we can send it back to serial. So serial wants bytes, Archon wants strings. That's the gist of it here. So we're going to get our response. We can just print it as a string. That's fine. And then when we want to write it, we need to encode it back to bytes. All right, rerun this. That's fine. Rerun this. Boom, there we go. Okay, we have data coming all the way back through. Awesome. Okay, so another thing that I have done since yesterday is hooked up a few more pins to the little button thing here. It'll be hard to see. But basically what I have done is I cut a hole, I cut a little notch out of the bottom half of this case, and I put a little piece of female header in there. I don't have a light here, so I can't easily show you, although foreshadowing, if we get this to work properly, we'll have a light that we could use. But I have a little female header in there now. It's got 6 pins broken out. I broke out 5 volts, which is V-bus on the Pico W from the USB. So 5 volts, 3 volts, 3.3. And then I have 1 ground and I have 3 IO pins. And those are all broken out there on the bottom, and I can hook stuff up to them. And I do currently have a little 8-bar NeoPixel that should be hooked up to 5 volts power, ground, and then data on in 16, I believe. So what we should be able to do is actually hook up like a NeoPixel instance and control those NeoPixels. And what I would like to do actually is control it from the game. We're going to come back to that nil error because we were getting that. We need to handle that at some point. But I want to do something cool. So what I'm going to do is this first. We're going to go here. We're going to set up a red value of 255. We are going to set up a green value of 0, which I guess is just not really a signal. A blue value of 255. So ideally, we're going to be able to turn these into hex on this side and set the NeoPixels based on that color. Let's try to make that work. First, we need a NeoPixel instance, which I could probably do NeoPixel by, can I? Let's see if I can do NeoPixel by memory. I'm not sure. Maybe, probably, I guess. We have board already. NeoPixels, call it, yeah, no, that's fine actually. Let me call it pixels. I don't have to do it from memory because the IDE knows how to write that part. I don't want auto write though. False, I mean, let's not do that. I do want brightness to be less. It doesn't know about brightness, fair enough. Oh, it does, but it also wants to put auto write back on. Okay. I like 10. 10's pretty, it's still fairly bright, honestly. You could go to 5, it's a little nicer even, but start on 5 actually. We'll chunk it up later if we need to. So we have that. We're not going to do this actually. We're going to do should be GP16. Is that what they're called though? I don't actually remember on the Picos. How do they name them? Yeah, it is GP. So we should have GP 16, 17. Well, we're only using 16 right now. Should be able to do that. Okay, let's now run this. We know we're going to get back that thing. Let's turn that into a string. Response string equals response.decode. Let's JSON that. Wait, can you JSON load from bytes? JSON object. JSON.loads that. All right, so then what I'm going to do is red val equals 0, green val equals 0, blue val equals 0. And then we're going to go if signal, is it shouty? No, what was it? It was lowercase. Okay, signal dash red, blue, and presumably green. So if red is in JSON, then we're going to set that equal to that. And you could probably guess the rest as well, as can the IDE. All right. So if those values are in there, we're going to take them. I'm going to put them in those ints, and then we should be able to go pixels.fill red val. What? That makes no sense. Why would we want that? Okay. No module NeoPixel. Oh, I heard a doodaloo. Interesting. Sometimes it doodaloos. Sometimes it doesn't. It did not turn on the NeoPixels. Pins backwards? Maybe it's just doing that because we have a world print? So we're definitely getting the signals. Let's try to print the object. Or let's try to print these values, maybe? Alright, so we got those. Can you not call fill this way? I think you can. Okay, that still didn't turn on. So probably the pin is wrong. Ground. $5 and data in. All connected to NeoPixels. I'm probably not going to be able to show you what's going on in here very well, but... Okay. My wiring is backwards from what I thought. VBus ground, this is actually 16, 17, 19 this way. So we're actually on pin 19, I think. Let's make it a little bit more climactical perhaps by doing the actual value instead of hard-coded green. Oh, nice. There we go. Okay, and then we could change this to be whatever color we want by modifying the signals. So if I do no blue and instead all green and red, then we'll get yellow. Save that, and then if we just rerun the microcontroller code now, because right now this is just one shot, but boom, there now we have yellow. Okay, we can control the color of the NeoPixels from these signals in the game, which is super sweet. And we now have this USB layer no longer... It's not smart at all. It's just a converter. It just takes data from serial and sends it to Archon, and then reads data from Archon and sends it to serial. Okay. Now we can basically do pretty fun stuff, all from the microcontroller. But let's get back to the code here and let's try to play with this a little bit. All right, so this was using signal S as state. One thing that we will want is our template commands. I'm actually just going to make a new file for them. Oh, interesting. I think this must have reran, probably. In fact, maybe we'll take this whole function. Except for... No, I think I want this to just be the... Do I? Actually, maybe this should be the whole thing. Yeah, just tuned in. What's this for? First of all, hello and thanks for watching. And then to answer your question, my aim is to, like, I'll give you a two-part answer. My aim, like, acutely, specifically, is to integrate this, like, industrial control button factory thing into the game Factorio. And, like, the main idea I have for it is this whole... I don't know which way the key goes. All right, this whole thing has, like, a green button, a key, and a red button. The idea is you'll turn the key to put it into the armed state, and then you'll press the green button in order to launch the rocket inside the game. And then you'll always also be able to press the red button to cancel. So if you do that, then it will set the signals differently and stop the rocket launch if it can still. And then this has a nice kerchunk on it. So that's like one low-hanging fruit thing that I want to do with this, is be able to launch the rocket in the game using the green button and have the cancel and the key and all the fun stuff, just so it's like fun. But more broadly, I am just trying to get a bridge between Factorio and microcontrollers. So if you're familiar with CircuitPython, or if you're not familiar with CircuitPython, if you have any experience or any familiarity with microcontrollers, I have a Pico W that is inside of this box. It's running CircuitPython, and my goal, generally speaking, is to interface this Pico W with Factorio. So I have a mod that has created a MCU read combinator, which can read signals that the microcontroller is able to set. So that lets you get signals from the microcontroller into the Factorio world. And then we have a MCU write combinator, which is the opposite. It allows you to get signals from in the Factorio world out into the microcontroller. So for instance, right now, I have RGB values right here, and I have these RGB LEDs right here. And so we can change the color on those by updating the values. I find my way back to the game. If we go red down to 0, I then can rerun this code on the microcontroller, which will essentially read the signals from those MCU write combinators. It will find that the color value has changed, and it will change the actual RGB LEDs also. Everything works, except for it didn't. Oh, it did. It just went slower than I imagined. And I wasn't watching the real thing, so I don't... Okay, the camera is... dead or something. Camera is very unhappy. Let's leave it at that. I see. Couldn't you make a server using that mod on localhost to get data back and forth? That's essentially what it's doing, basically. That is essentially what it's doing. I will show you here in just a minute the rest of what makes it work. Oh, this is like all wigging out. That's... Okay. Yes. So basically we have, so Factorio already has a thing called Archon, which is built into it, and it lets you basically run commands remotely over the network, and then your commands, because it's Factorio, your commands can also contain Lua. And so I have a piece of Python code that's running on my PC that is connected over serial, USB serial, to the microcontroller, and it's connected over Archon on the network, localhost, to the Factorio server. So it's reading incoming messages from serial, and it's just turning around and sending the same message to Archon. It's reading the response back from Archon, and then it's sending that response back to serial. So it's just like a proxy between the two. And then my microcontroller is now able to like essentially send messages to Archon and get the results back. But let's start working a little bit more back on the state machine and the rocket launch. Let's change this to be I'm going to call it data line. Let's going to be data line dot right. What's up, Ariel App over on YouTube? Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so we can... So, all right, let's turn this off. This was basically just a test of getting data out and using it to set the RGB on the NeoPixels. And that is working fine, which also helps me test the GPIO pins that I wired up. Which, as you could see a few minutes ago, I didn't have them quite right. Now we do. So when the microcontroller starts up, it basically checks if the red button is already down, and it checks if the key is in neutral or not. And if the red button is down, or if the key is not in neutral, then it starts out in the canceled state, and we want it to go ahead and send the signal for the canceled state. And it looks like for states, I was doing neutral is 1, canceled is 2, presumably armed would have been 3. Yeah. What's the plan for today? So I am, I don't know if you watched any of the previous ones or not, but I am working on this integration between Factorio and microcontrollers. Specifically, we refactored the CPython code to just be a bridge between Archon and USB. It no longer has any logic, like it doesn't know what signals are, it doesn't know what values are, it doesn't know about combinators, any of that stuff anymore. It's just read from serial, send it to Archon, read from Archon, send it to serial. That way, all of the logic can live in the microcontroller. We tested the output by setting RGB colors on physical LEDs. Is this dead again? No. Using the color signals from inside Factorio. And now I'm working back on the actual rocket launch, the sort of like turn the key to put it to armed, and then press the green button to launch, and press the red button to cancel, and that sort of stuff. I was here yesterday, nice, or a couple of days ago when you created the custom combinator, nice. Okay, yeah, so we're picking up on that, and I have just refactored the serial code to not have any of the logic, and then tested the output because I wired up a few extra pins on the microcontroller since yesterday as well. So I have a few extra pins wired up so I can connect RGB lights and other stuff. So here we're actually going to be able to just call set the read combinators. The data line is cdc.data. And the command object is basically like one of these. And I guess we'll keep all of this for now, but potentially we could simplify it. I don't know. I kind of like this little dictionary API thing. I think I kind of like this. So this should be setting it to actually 2 instead of 1. Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then if it starts in neutral, it should be basically the same thing, except for neutral is 1. Okay, so let's just see if those work. I don't know why all of that printed. But definitely this didn't work because S is on 8 and it should be on 2. Looks like it did not. It seems like that did not work. So we could have. We might have the string and the bytes problem again. So since Yeah, well, okay, so for one thing, this doesn't return. That's not a thing that happens. We're going to need to also read the response if we want to get it. So that's going to be a string. That's going to be a string, but I think it needs to actually be bytes though, right? Wasn't that what I was just saying a minute ago? Is serial is working with bytes. Serial is working with bytes. And Archon is working with strings, but does serial work with bytes on the CircuitPython side too? Be cdc.data. Serial object. So does this readable buffer? Not sure. I kind of think that might be the problem though. So I'm gonna go and say, after all these replacements have happened, then encode it into bytes for writing it. All right, start state neutral. We still have a bunch of this stuff. We still have 8. It's like it's not running the command. It's like it's doing chat messages instead of running the command. We might have a line problem. Yeah. Okay, I get it. I get it. This is doing read line, which ends whenever we get a new line, and then we're sending this multi-line template, which has a crap load of new lines. We also kind of need to get rid of those. Or we would need to change the logic to not, like, use read line. We could try to read until something else, but... Is the Lua gonna be mad, though? Maybe do we need to keep the new lines? Why was it working before when I had new lines? Because it wasn't getting split, that's why. Woke up this morning, decided to be productive. Let me see. Cover this up, actually. There we go. Productive on the most useless thing ever. So I created a bot for my GitHub repo. Whenever I make a new PR, it adds comments saying who wrote the PR and when. Nice. That's pretty cool, though. So, I mean, ultimately, we should probably make a custom command for this too, and then we would only be sending like our custom command plus the JSON for the arguments or something. Until then, I guess I'm inclined to just... Well, so for one thing, this didn't seem to matter. I think this happens internally, honestly. Let's try this and see if it breaks. I'm not sure. This might mess it up. Yeah. We'll print all of that. Actually, that doesn't really make very much sense. Why would it have still printed all of that? Why are these still new lined? Oh, does this not do replace all? No, it does. All occurrences. Why would that still have a bunch of new lines? Did you not already have that logic work yesterday? We had some of it work yesterday, but I did a bit of refactoring. And now the microcontroller is sending the entire bit of Lua, whereas before the microcontroller was just sending a JSON blob, and there was no new lines in it. I don't know why, but at some point I decided to have some logic on my projects. GitHub runs lint tests, etc. for private repos. There's no need for that. I don't know. It's kind of handy. We use lint and a couple other checks on all the CircuitPython libraries. Totally still has a bunch of new lines in it. So it's printing a bunch back here now. Why does it still have all these new lines? Oh, this is in the wrong spot. Okay, and we don't have right anymore, I see. Okay. Do that. There we go. Now that's one big thing. So now we get to learn, does Lua care about white space? Start this again so we don't have all that stuff. Oh, that's all wrecked now. It didn't come through. So we probably still need the new line at the end. So yeah. Okay. I don't think it likes that. So we can't just skank all the new lines out of it. We will either have to make a custom command right now, or we have to make the glue in between serial and Archon work differently. We need to know when we've gotten an entire command. So does this... How could we know that? We have to have like an ending. We have to have like an agreed upon ending character, right? I think we have to. While readline? I think readline blocks. Well, I guess maybe that could work. Readline. I think it blocks though. So we will need to be able to add a timeout if we do a while, and it doesn't look like we can. Oh. What? This says timeout here, but it's not listed. Interesting. Return everything readable if no new line is found and timeout is 0. There is read lines. Maybe we should use that. Actually sounds kind of handy. Because we could read lines and then we could combine them back together. Join them back together with the new lines again. This should be lines now, though. Why is this not a list? This should be a list. Also, I don't even know why this would have sent anything. Let me just rerun all of these. Maybe there was like something queued weird. Now it just didn't get anything. Oh boy. I don't know if read lines works. How does it know when it's done? It will never return. It doesn't know it's done. Let's try. I don't know if that's in seconds or what, so I guess we'll try that and see. Fix no keyword arguments. Okay, I mean, if you can't pass timeout and if it doesn't return anything when timeout is none, then it's not really that useful. Okay, we got a list this time, so that's good, but it does... Okay, so for one thing, there's still a new line at the end of this. It's a bit odd. Ugh. I mean, it was trying to execute it, and it was a string instead of bytes when it shouldn't have been, but the truth is, it doesn't have the full command anyway, so we actually don't really want it to execute. So this... maybe was in milliseconds? Not seconds, and maybe it didn't see all of them because they weren't fast enough. Still no. Okay, I don't think read lines works very good. Trying to join bytes into a string. I mean, I'm just trying to get the things in there, really. I'm not really trying to do one thing or the other. They're coming in as bytes, and then they need to go to arccon as a string eventually. But right now, I'm just trying to get the full command that came in over USB. I don't really care if they're bytes or a string or a list or whatever. Like, if I can just get the full command at all, then I can get it into whatever it needs to be. But we're not getting the full thing. Read lines is returning before we have every line. This time it didn't even return at all, actually. So what could this be? It's actually kind of like pretty frustrating that this, first of all, is like key to the operation of this function, because if you don't pass it, it never returns. But it's just not listed in the documentation at all. I mean, it should return all of them, though. Like, it's not gonna... we can't just plus... Like, if it needs to use plus equals, then also all the rest of this part needs to change as well. Because right now, the rest of this code is essentially assuming whenever this returns, we'll have a full command that we can send to Archon. So if this has to be plus equals, then that means we need to go multiple times around that loop before we send to Archon. And then we also are still right back in the pickle of like, how do we know when we actually have received everything? Okay, I think read lines we're not using. I think I'm not using this. This doesn't seem to work very good. And the documentation is sparse, although it's sparse here too because this also doesn't have timeout, but seems to have timeout. So I think what we do is just keep calling readline until... I think what we do is we're going to make a rule that says we end with a certain character now. What we're going to do is we're going to say command ends with a... So before we were doing a new line, and I guess that's fine, but what we're going to do is... a null byte. You shouldn't have a null byte in the command, I don't think. So then on this side, let's read. We will have to change this. So we're going to go while let's see here. I'm going to make an inner loop. Wait, what's the objective of this stream? To integrate Factorio with microcontrollers. To be able to interface physical electronics in the real world with virtual stuff inside Factorio. You can loop over the list. Yeah, but it's not returning the full command. Yes, I can loop over it, but it only had the first 2 lines of the command. We need to get the full command before I worry about how to get it back out of the list. All right, so let's read one line. So basically what we're going to do is this inner loop. Actually, don't need any of this until here. We're going to say this inner loop is reading lines and the outer loop is reading commands and sending them to Archon. So after the inner loop is done, we will have a full command. 2 while trues. Yeah, it's fine. We'll be all right. This one is indented kind of far though. Okay, so get the line. We're gonna say lines is a list. We're gonna say lines.append the incoming line. And then we're gonna say have full command equals false, and then this is actually going to be while not have full command, and then we'll go if this incoming line ends with the null byte, then have full commands is true. We already ended it though. Let's do this. Let's append it after, because I want to remove the null byte. I don't know why I put commas. Okay. Let me make sure I remember to do that correctly. If that was true, then we go command line equals itself, except for the last character. Cut off the null byte. Okay, so then we, at the end of that inner while loop, we should have a list that contains all the lines of the command. So we should be able to say full command, join the lines back together. Compile error. Probably. Yeah, these are mad right now. This doesn't need join. We already have that. Okay. Try that. Does not crash immediately. That's a good sign. Ends with first arg. Must be bytes. Okay, I think we have bytes. We must have bytes instead of strings. So let's check the byte string instead of the string for the null character. Why is my run? Oh, it crashed. Okay. Nothing happened. Does it print anything? Maybe it doesn't print anything. Nope, it's still on 8. Should go to 2. I think that join will have the same problem as the previous join. But the previous join didn't really have a problem. I mean, the problem that we had when I had the previous join was that we were not getting the full command. We were only getting like the first 2 lines, which maybe is still a problem, but I don't think it's with the join. See if we get any of these lines. Okay, we got all the lines. I guess this must not have worked, really. This seems like this probably didn't work. Not that you're trying to join bytes into a string. I don't believe that's a problem. I mean, I could be wrong, because, like, truth be told, I'm not entirely certain what the problem is, but I think that that's not it. Because if there's a problem between bytes and strings, it will just fail when I try to combine them together, or it will fail when I send it to Archon, or it will fail when I send it to the USB. At some spot, it will fail because it won't like the fact that it's expecting one or the other, and I gave it the other. So like right now, we're getting the full message. Presumably we're putting it into lines, but I think we're never finding the null byte. It seems like we're not actually getting that. I wonder, so that should be sending it though. Yeah, see, so we got all these lines, but we never actually found... Oh, that's kind of annoying. So why would we not be getting that? Is that like, are you not allowed to send that or something? Would we not be allowed to send that? Oh, I think I know why. It's because we put it at the end. We put it after the new line, and we have no new line after it, which means like our call to read line doesn't get it because it didn't have a new line after it. But aren't we then... Aren't we then gonna have... Should it be like this? Aren't we then gonna have... Yeah, and so now it's... Okay, so I guess we will have to check both then. I guess we'll have to say... Does it end with null byte and new line? And then we actually also will cut off the last two. Did you add the Unicode back to the read line? Not sure. Line with the null does not get appended. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't getting appended because it wasn't getting read, because it didn't have a new line to trigger the line, the read line part of it. It's item 0. Okay. We found that. Now it just has empty space in it. I think instead of saying ends with, let's actually say equals. And if that is it, then we are not going to bother with this. What we're going to do is only append it to the list if it's not the last line. So basically we're making a rule now that says when you send Archon commands through the USB socket, you need to add null byte new line at the end. And that is not part of the command. We're going to ignore it. That's not going to get passed to Archon, but you do need to send it because that's how this code knows that your command is over, that you're done sending stuff, basically. Oh, but we can't check equals. We can't check equals because there is also spaces, although I am confused about why there would... Oh, it's these spaces right here, actually. But it shouldn't break because of that. So let's actually change that back to ends with, and then, but we'll keep the rest of the logic the same. So if it ends with that, we ignore the whole line. So you can't put this at the end of a line of code. It has to be after white space or nothing, or else it will ignore the last line. That is now the rules. You can use trim. Oh, that's true. I could have trimmed. First. Okay, there we go. Ends with null byte, inc line. But then this just says process finished. It doesn't say process finished. Didn't set that either. What? Okay, so we should have had full command. And then we should have printed... We should have printed inc command with the full command. But we didn't. We said... We got that. We ended with the null byte. We found it. We have incoming line of this. Why did it just exit? Oh. Okay. Okay, I do have bytes instead of a string. And we can't join that. Okay, so yeah, you said that earlier. I think you were right. So what we're going to do is when we append it right here, we're going to change it to a string. But keep it as a bytes before that. Okay. I feel like there's extra new lines now. So I think we actually don't need this, right? Because read lines actually gives you the line with the new line. Normally, when I use join, I use it with split. And so I'll split by like new lines and then I'll join by new lines and it will basically kick the same new lines out as it puts back. In this case, we're redlining and it's actually including the new line. So if we join with new lines, we're going to have extras, which is why that's all spread out, I think. So let's try one more time. There we go. Boom. Ran this command, got this response. The response is empty because that command doesn't actually return anything. And finally, yes, S is set to 1. Should it be 1 or should it be 2? Oh, Lord. Are we in neutral? We are. Okay. Neutral is 1. Canceled, I think, was 2. All right, that was a long and winding road, but I think we made it. Let's double check here. Yeah. So neutral is 1. Okay, perfect. Neutral is 1, canceled is 2. So we can get it to start in canceled and test that by either pushing the red button in or if we turn the key either direction, then I think it would start in canceled. So I push the red button in. Let's rerun this. And in the game, what? Where did that go? No. Okay, and then in the game, it should change to 2 when this version runs. Nice, there we go. So because the red button is in, that is now starting up in state canceled. Okay, so that's when it first powers up. That will set the state in game properly. So now in the loop on the microcontroller, we start reading the buttons. So if the green button was pressed and the state was armed, previously this was writing a rocket silo signal. We're going to make it do that again. So set the signal rocket silo. That one is an item instead of a virtual. We are going to put it at slot 2 and we can, just give it a value of 1. Okay, so if you press the green button while it's armed, it will make a signal of rocket silo equal to 1 in slot 2. If it's not armed, then it will just do nothing. Okay, if the red button was pressed, if the current state is neutral or armed, change the current state to canceled. So canceled is this. Red button released. Did we go from canceled to neutral if the red button was released? Maybe. I'm not going to do it right now, but that one is, that's something we'll consider. It does kind of make sense I think if you release the emergency stop to go back to neutral, I think now the way it's working is it relies on the key to get back to neutral though. So let's keep reading. The red button was pressed, we go to canceled. Red button was released, we do nothing for now. The key, so if the key was turned, I don't know if it's right or left, but if the key was turned a certain direction, I think, so this must be right. I'm thinking this must be right. So if you turn the key to the right, if we were in neutral, then we go to armed. Armed is, oh. We were in neutral, we go to armed. So armed is actually value 3. So we can take the neutral. We can take the neutral signal, but we will change it to value 3 for armed. If that one rose. So this is going to be if we were turned to the right and we turn it back to the left. Then it's going to go to state canceled. It's the same as this. Okay. And then if we turn the key to the left, I think is what position B debouncer is for. So if we turn it to the left, it looks like nothing happens. If we turn it from the left back to neutral, back to the center, and the state was canceled, and if the red button is not pressed, then the state goes back to neutral. So yeah, currently in order to get back to neutral from canceled, you actually have to turn the key to the left and then back to the middle. So we'll keep that for now. So we'll say, and we'll go and get the neutral one again. So neutral is value of 1, I believe. Yeah. Okay, let's save that and rerun it. And this is already running. And so then let's go back to here. Okay, so right now we are in state canceled, which is 2 because the red button was down when we started. So I just released the red button. If we want to, so we're still in canceled because that's how it works. If we want to get back to state neutral, we need to turn this to the left, and then we need to turn it back to the middle. Nope, didn't work. It seems like it didn't move again. Yeah, in fact, we got no, we got none of this. Key position, we got no key position B. Uh-oh. Got the problem now where I have, why are you doing that? That makes no sense. Stop it. Huh. Well, that's weird. Okay, I'll tell you what. This is up. This is now left. I'm gonna restart. We started and canceled. So this knew the key was turned. So I'm going to put this back to middle and restart one more time. Neutral. So this is reading the key for sure. Oh. Why are we never getting position A? Why are we never getting any of these? I have a weird question. Why not have all the Lua commands in the Lua code, all the Python commands in the Python code? If you want to run Lua commands, send in the name of the command. I think we probably will get to that. So if we did that for the writing, getting signals out of the game into the microcontroller, we made that custom command. I might make another custom command for reading as well, but I just haven't yet. I'm not opposed to it. It will need, so reading will be a little bit more involved though, because it will need an argument. Because while the name is read, it's actually obviously sending data from the microcontroller into the game. So if we did have a custom Lua command for the reading, it would need an argument, and the argument would essentially be all the signals that you want to set to the read combinator. So currently these are pulled up. So when it falls, it would be getting connected to ground. I believe it should be doing in both the left and the right positions, not the middle position. It never actually prints. It never actually seems to be true. Maybe command is the wrong name here, but instead of having Python read multiple lines, etc., have it read one line and have that line in the function name you want it to launch. So yeah, when I have the custom command, I think we could get it down to one line. Because it would be like slash command name and then probably the next argument. Hopefully the next argument can be just a big blob of JSON. And then it wouldn't have any new lines in it. And so in that case, it could be one line. And then like if the question is why haven't I done it that way, it's just because it's not the way I did it at first. But again, I'm not opposed to it. We may get there. Right now I'm trying to figure out why the key is not doing anything. I might know what the problem is. This is waiting for a response. Yeah, we need that to time out. Because this command doesn't actually send a response. Is that in seconds? It should print. Well, it doesn't actually say response though. Okay, so I guess we don't know. Yeah, I will print the values as well here. In a minute. Oh, this is not timing out. Hmm. Why does it not time out? Hmm. This says actually the parameter is size, the maximum number of characters to read. Oh no, timeout is a property, not an argument. Although I will say we would have then been filling the size command, and I'm not sure that was working either. In the wrong file. Okay. We don't care about size. We do want the timeout though, so I'm just gonna set it back out here actually. We should only need to set it once. I still have no idea if it's seconds or what. Oh wait, does it say under the property? Where did that go? Timeout. No. Oh, seconds. It does. Okay, so timeout in seconds. Let's say 0.1. No. Size does matter, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It's still blocking. We're not. It's not returning. Because this prints resp, and we never. Well, okay. So first of all, this is an f string, but it prints resp, and we never saw that print. I do have to run to the restroom real quick, so I'll be right back. Okay. Did we? No. Okay. I was gonna say, did I not do data? Would it be data? Be USB CDC. It should be USB CDC, not .data. Okay. Let's take this back out. But still not. Initial value is none. If none, wait indefinitely. If 0, do not wait. If greater than 0, wait only that many seconds. I mean, 0, I guess, is really what we want. But I really don't understand why it's just not working. Oh no. It's not on USB CDC. It's on serial, so it should be on data. It was how it should have been before. But that also wasn't working. It still never prints response. I don't know. It seems like this just doesn't work. But we can't. Oh, yeah, we can. Timeout is none. I have no idea why it would be none when we literally set it to 0 right there, but I guess let's set it to 0 again. I mean, I don't know. Set it to 0 however many times I have to, I guess. -0, that might be fun. Okay, that made it work. I don't know. That makes no sense to me. That's already connected, right? Oh, maybe it's not already connected. Does it have to be connected? Maybe we don't. It doesn't look like you have to connect anything. I don't know. I don't understand why that would work and this wouldn't, but whatever. It's working. Truthfully, we don't even... After all of that, the truth is we really don't need to read the response at all because we know the command we're sending doesn't have a response in this case because it's inside of set read combinators. We know this doesn't return anything. Even when I make the custom command, it probably still won't return anything, but that's fine. This at least is working now with the timeout. So the key should work, hopefully. I think the key probably worked this whole time. It's just we were stuck in the read line. Like the code was blocking, therefore we weren't updating the key debouncers. There we go. Okay. That one, I think, tried to change the state to armed, it looks like, actually. That one put it back to neutral, I think. Okay. So let's get it to canceled. Let's start it in canceled. And it starts in canceled. And then we should be able to get back to neutral by going left, back to middle. Shouldn't that have put us back to neutral? Keypad just released. We were in canceled. And keypad was released. Oh, the red button is down still. Being silly. Okay. So we're in canceled, so let's do this. Pop the red button. This back to left and then back to middle. And now we go back to neutral. And then we could go to armed. Oh, let's make sure we're... Yeah, so neutral is 1. We could go to armed is 3. And then we could, from armed, press green to get rocket silo. That didn't work. Looks like it should have worked, though. This is still type virtual. Ah, okay. We didn't pass this through. Yeah, so where's rocket silo? Signal type. We need to get signal type and fill it in here. Yeah. Okay. Put this back. All right, we're in neutral. So we can go to the right to be armed. Green button to get rocket silo. And cancel will put state to 2 for canceled. Maybe one thing we should do is maybe that's what the okay, that's totally what the C2 was doing. So for anybody that was here yesterday, we were looking at the old code. We had all of these C2s everywhere. This was doing clear 2. So C stood for clear. This would have been clearing the rocket silo. So, do I want to... How do I want to handle that is the next thing to solve. Because it would kind of be a bit of a shame to, like... have to duplicate that and clear it and such. Can you just tell it clear silo instead of the slot? I don't think so. So I will say my modding knowledge is not super great. The only way that I do know how to clear it is gonna be... Yeah, I don't think that's going to be on entity, though. I think we have to go to... like this, basically. So section has clear slot, but that takes an index. Yeah. Let's make a custom command that clears, actually. Yeah, let's make a custom command that clears. So we'll have like /clear read combinator slot, and then you give it an argument of the number. I'm going to rename this later still. This one, though, I'm going to call clear right combinator slot. Do I want combinators slot, which is technically correct, but double S kind of? I'm just going to do it like that. There you go, technically correct. So presumably we will be able to just say like arg square bracket 0 maybe? Can you just tell it? Oh, right. That was from a while ago, sorry. Yeah, so hopefully args square bracket 0 will be the argument. Unless it does it on all. It is. Yeah, no, it totally is. It's going to do it on all of the MCU right combinators. Right now, I think I only have one. I have another one up there, actually. It will do it on all of them, though. Yeah, basically all of the right combinators will be in sync. They should always have the same values, and all of the read combinators will not necessarily. The read combinators could be split up in different parts of your world. They could be getting different signals from different networks and stuff. But they'll get added together eventually, just like the game does. Let's stop doing this. I don't really need this anymore. So we still want to find all the combinators, and then we're still going to loop over all of them. We're still going to get the network. But what we will do here is we don't need to loop over the signals. Instead, we just want to go... Wait, do we want to get the network? Yeah, no, we need to get a section, actually. Shoot, we need a... Well, we could hard code. I think we're always using section 1. I need to do get section, actually, not get network. And then section.clear slot with arg 0. Args 0. And we don't really need to print anything. So get all the right combinators. We don't need this. Loop over all the right combinators. Get the first section on each right combinator. Clear the slot at the index given by args 0. Okay. Put that there. Clear right combinators slot. Let's say clear a slot on the right combinators MCU. Clear right combinators slot. Let's save that. Let's do a build, which I haven't done yet today. And let's relaunch the game. Looks like it should create, if not exist, a group, and then the combinators could just read that group. I think that the first group already exists. I'm not actually positive. It seems like you can delete, maybe. That's a constant combination. I don't know. I don't want to delete it because it might break. We should eventually make it not break. But yeah, if it doesn't have a section, it should create one, I guess is what it will do. So eventually I'll add the code for that. Let's see though. I should be able to test this by doing, I don't know why all that stuff is there. Hopefully that stuff's not still coming every time. I think maybe that's from back before we had the new lines working. All right, what did I call it? Clear right combinators slot. Yeah. Failed. 48 index. Ooh, entity doesn't contain get section. or we shouldn't call it on the entity. It's on the, it should be on the control behavior. Yeah, this is constant combinator control behavior. Control behavior. I think we need to do that actually. So we MCU write get control behavior get section. Run the build. Close the game. Relaunch the game. Ooh. Seems to have all that stuff every time. Well, maybe it didn't save the clear, I guess. Still failed. Control behavior doesn't contain key get section. What? Excuse me? Oh. Oh. I'm doing write combinators, and I should be doing read combinators. This should be clear read combinator slot. This should be finding the read combinators. Then this is read combinators here. This can be MCU read. Okay. And we should also fix the name. Okay. Build. Launch the game. Still crashed. Slot index. Real number expected got nil. Oh, I didn't pass an argument. Derp. So let's rerun that, but with 2. Still no. Slot index, real number expected got nil. Oh, args 1 because this is Lua, maybe? That's a thing, right? No. Real numbers expected got nil. Yeah. Was our one based. Control 49. Works 1. I guess args doesn't work that way. Factorio custom command with arguments. What? Optional argument me? Hmm? param.parameter. So args dot parameter. I don't know. I still don't know where this goes. We could try that instead, and maybe that would help us know what's happening. Let's run it once like this, but I bet you the problem is I need to do like args.parameter, it looks like. Although, yeah, okay, it would be nil because we're just accessing a thing that doesn't exist really. But hopefully this will show us the args object so that we can actually confirm what... it didn't work though. It says args is empty. Oh boy, how do you get the arguments? Why is it gotta be so complex? I don't remember where I got this from. Alright, let's go to the docs, I guess, instead of just continuing to look randomly around the internet. Where's custom commands? Parameter. Custom command data. Okay. But it's not printing anything. The parameter after the command if there is one. Okay, we're definitely gonna need parameter, I guess. Ah. Why though? Do we need to convert it to an int or something? Or, well, I guess Lua is pretty good about types, right? It's well parameter. Ah, I know what you meant. It's all good. New, for some new music again, 1 second. I mean, it didn't print anything. Got argument number 1 to 3 of concat table expected got string. Okay, so now it's expecting a table and getting a string. But the fact that it wasn't printing before makes me think the table didn't contain the data we had, the table we wanted. Let's just say arguments. This is a string now, and I find it weird, but I think string concatenator is that. Oh my goodness. Okay, it printed 2. Nobody panic, it printed 2. Alright, and it worked actually. Okay, so rocket silo is gone from there. Let's just make sure the whole thing works though. So if I... Alright, so right now we're on 2, which is canceled. If we want to get off of canceled, we need to go left. Well, we need to pop this, and from left we can go back to neutral. That didn't work. Did that not work? Or did I just not? Ooh. Well, that's weird. So this thinks it sent a 1. What's a cheeky? What's that? A cheeky Sunday stream? The Factorio idea must have been calling. Yep. Looks like we're almost there. Yeah, we're getting a lot farther. I refactored a bit to make the code that sits between the USB serial and Archon be more dumb. So now it doesn't know about signals. It doesn't know about combinators. It doesn't know about any of that stuff. It's just read a string from USB, send that same string to Archon, read a string from Archon, send it back to USB. So it's just like an in the middle for those two. That way the microcontroller can have all the logic. I have hooked up output now. On the base of my thing down here, I kind of cut a little notch and soldered a few more wires. So I have 6 wires broken out here now. And so I have now NeoPixels connected. And then a little bit earlier, what I got working was the reason why this is green here is because we have RGB and we set it to green there. Right now the code is not hooked up anymore to actually change it if I change these, but that is what set this. We set it to a few other colors earlier. So we have the output working, and I now actually have a way to show that it did something. Now though, I am trying to figure out why this did not go back to neutral. Because I feel that this should have been setting signal S back to value 1. And our signal S is totally still on value 2. That's popped. Theoretically, that would have sent it again. Maybe not, actually. That's weird. I'm not sure why that didn't work. I'm just going to reset this to start. Reset this for now, though. Whoops. Also, I will say I'm probably going to be heading out fairly soon, and I probably will leave fairly abruptly. Basically, my wife is on her way back home from work. Whenever she gets home, I will stop this to hang out with her. But I am kind of on a roll, and I do not really have anything else to do until then, so I'll keep going, but at some point I'll be like, okay, bye, and then I'll be leaving real soon. I swear that green button does have some translucency. It totally looks like it does. You know what it is? I bet you, like, this box is kind of generic. You can buy it with 3 different things, and all of this stuff comes out too. Like, I can, when you open it up, you can actually take this whole thing out. You could change them around, or you could swap in different ones. Surely there is one with an LED in there, but I don't believe mine does. Or I will say, if it does, it's definitely not wired, because I don't have enough wires for it, and all of my connections are accounted for, I think. But I bet you there is one that does have an LED in it, and either I don't have it or I just didn't wire it. You prefer to hang with your wife rather than complete strangers on the internet. Weird. Yeah, I know, totally right. Okay, I'm just gonna restart this and see if it goes back to 1, because it should. But it totally isn't, so that's awesome. Why isn't it? Does it go to 3 if I cancel it? No. Why is everything broken again? Oh, not 3, 2. 3 is armed. 2 is canceled. So we wouldn't have been able to tell if it went back to 2 because it's already on 2. But why is it not going to neutral? I wonder if there is a problem if we have 2 of these? Would there be a problem if we have 2 of them? Okay, let's double check that the code's right. So when we start in neutral, we should send a value of 1. Okay. Insanity check seems fine there. So I'll pop this, and I'll reset this again. Key is in the middle position, so we should start in neutral. And it should send 1. So we are in neutral. And it uses minimum instead of value, but it is 1. But why is that not changing? Okay, let's see if we can go to armed. I mean, armed was working earlier. It's not anymore. All right. Well, at least it's consistent. It seems like setting signals just doesn't work anymore. Let's look here. Is there anything weird in this? Okay, we have a broken pipe. We have a broken pipe. Well, there's your problem right there. Your pipe's broken. I just restarted that and it got a crap load of things that happened. I'm gonna go back to neutral. Okay, there we go. All right, that was the problem. The USB connection died a while ago. Maybe when I restart it, I'm not sure actually if it dies when I mean, I've been restarting a bunch. Be reading the sync code. Might be like arcade buttons, optional LED attached to the top of a detachable back switch unit. Yeah, totally. The whole thing inside can come out. Not very easily anymore because the Pico and the wires are all in the way now. But the way that it works, the way that it was out of the box, each of those 3 things can come out. They're like surface mount. They have a little retaining nut in the back there. Okay, yeah, so just the USB converter in between, go between server doohickey was not running. It had a broken pipe, so it died a while ago. That's why nothing was working. Everything is actually working still, hopefully. So we are on neutral right now. We could cancel. We could get back to neutral by popping this, going left, and then going back to there. We could get to armed by doing that. So S3 is armed, and we could get to rocket silo by doing green button. And then finally, the new part, we could clear the rocket silo with this command. Okay, finally, perfect. So now let's make it so that we, first of all, don't print when we call that command anymore, because we don't actually need these. And second of all, let's make it also run this anytime we... Essentially, anytime we change states to anything except armed, I think. Write a code that when the pipe breaks, it adds a signal of red X letting you know from Factorio or something broke. Yeah, totally. You could do like flashing red lights when you're low on power, or... Yeah, if a pipe broke, you could say, like, if your petroleum is under a certain amount or something. Yeah. Let's add a new one of these here. So clear read combinators slot, and it takes a slot. I'm going to call it slot number instead of slot index to hopefully help remind myself that it's 1 based. And yeah, so we're going to just say clear read combinators slot command slot number slash clear read combinators slot, and then slot number. And then we can just go data line right. Oops, we need to take data line. No, I mean when your USB connection broke. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. In that code, we should totally catch the broken pipe and like do something more apparent. That would be nice. We might be able to just have it retry the connection potentially. We're kind of in the same boat here where we truthfully don't actually, we're not expecting a response. We don't really need to do this. I guess I will just because, but. All right, so now we should be able to call that, give it a slot number. So basically everywhere where we had one of these C2s before. Ooh, I don't know what R2 was doing before. Interesting. Okay, so we had a C2 here. We're starting in the canceled state, so we definitely want to... I need to import it also. C.data, and then that will be the slot number of 2. Basically, we're just going to copy that. So if we start in neutral, we're going to do that as well. So basically, anytime that we set the state, if we're not setting it to armed, then we pretty much want to do this. So we're setting it to canceled here. We're going to clear rocket silo. Setting it to, so this one is setting it to armed. So this is like the one case where we don't do it. Neutral. Okay. So now anytime we leave armed or go to anything that's not armed, it should clear rocket silo. So right now it is actually canceled. Oop, we have another broken pipe. Oh, I broke my own rule. I broke my own rule. You're not allowed to do that. That's what I said earlier, and then I did it. That's rough. We need to make another line with that thing. Okay. We are back to being weird though because we started in neutral. We should have sent signal 1, but it didn't actually get set. But I'm thinking maybe this might have wrecked it. So let's redo this and try again. Okay, there we go. That changed. Oh, we still have this old version with the prints. I guess that's okay for now. Okay, so we are currently in neutral. We could go to armed, and we could go to rocket silo, but then panic cancel. Okay, we go to state canceled, and we got rid of our rocket silo. I feel like we should probably be back in neutral here. So right now you have to turn left and then right to go back to neutral from canceled. I think maybe as soon as you get back to middle on the key with this popped up, then maybe you should go back to neutral. I'm not 100% sure, so we'll keep thinking about it. Armed, launch. And if I were to do this, it goes to cancel, and it also gets rid of rocket silo. Okay, that's working now. I am going to make sure the latest one works because I updated the command to not print and to do something else, I think. So let's rerun build and relaunch Factorio. Going from B to middle doesn't set to neutral. Correct. Yeah. So right now, it doesn't go back to neutral until you turn the key left and then back to middle. But I think I would like to change it to where as soon as you turn the key to middle, you get to neutral if you were in canceled. That way you don't have to go explicitly left and then right again. All right, where did we start? Should be in neutral if we restart this. And I did just hear the garage, so I am going to be heading out in just a moment. Oh, we did get another broken pipe. I think we probably, maybe we get, oh, you know what it is we broke the Archon pipe, actually. It wasn't the USB pipe that broke, it was Archon when I closed the game. Yeah. Okay, so armed, rocket silo, cancel. Perfect. All that's working and we have no more prints. All right, I'm going to head out for now. Have a wonderful rest of your day to everyone. Thanks to everyone for watching and hanging out in the chat. I am glad that people find this interesting. I may pop up again to work on this some more, so if you like this kind of stuff, you can follow me on Twitch or YouTube. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Okay, bye. Yep. See ya.